Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about Overbridge. So I have a confession to make, and that is that even though I've had some Electron machines for a while, I wasn't able to use Overbridge, or at least I thought I wasn't able to use Overbridge, because my MacBook Pro, which you hear taking off like a jet airplane in the background, wasn't able to recognize the Electron machines for some reason. I was able to sync them through live, but I couldn't get it to work with Overbridge, and couldn't use the class compliant audio either, I thought. And then one day I discovered some settings in the Digitakt or the Digitone, and then suddenly Overbridge worked. So I have no idea why I couldn't get it to work earlier. I Googled, I read manuals, I looked at forums. I thought it was just my MacBook Pro's fault. The fact that it uses USB-C and that it doesn't like USB-B, USB 3.0, something like that. I guess this wasn't the case. So finally, I have 3 machines going through a very simple USB hub into my MacBook Pro. It's not an Electron overhub, it's just a run-of-the-mill hub, and hey presto, everything is working. So I made this Overbridge template project in live that I'm quickly going to share with you. This is really nothing spectacular, but it's nice that I finally got it to work, and I'll explain how I use this, because it's really nice to have Overbridge, to have this integration. But using the interface to interact with Electron machines such as the Digitakt here, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think the whole point of the Electron machines is the sequencer and the hands-on control you get. But what it does do is really nicely lay out how the machine is architected. And if you have some difficulty with moving around, navigating around Electron machines, and having some difficulty understanding all the ins and outs, a lot of stuff is of course on the pages beneath the screen, which is quite easily accessible, but a lot of other stuff is a little bit more hidden away in menus. And for this, I think these Overbridge plugins do a great job of explaining how everything works, and especially file management, because management of sounds, samples, patches, kits, this is one of the more tricky parts, I think, of Electron machines. The way it's all organized, it gives you great flexibility, lots of options, but also it's not the easiest to get your head around for a lot of people. And for instance, in the Digitakt Overbridge plugin, you have these really nice assign samples options here, where you just get to go into the file structure of the plus drive, go through all the samples, factory sounds, stuff you've recorded, transferred, I have to say, stuff you've recorded that's here, more stuff that's been transferred, files, folders you can make yourself to organize things, and you can just go in and drag and drop sounds, let's say from the toolbox oscillators or from the noise. All these options, you can preview them and just drag and drop them into a project. So snowy, staticky. I have a few of these already. Bassy noise, maybe difficult to hear. You can just drag and drop and it's in the project. So that is really neat. And then there's also the separate sound browser where you can manage this with an interface that is arguably a little bit easier to handle than doing it on the machine itself. So yes, that's just my little overview. One thing that is a problem when using Ableton Live is that while you can sequence the electro machines from live by creating a MIDI track, which I'll do now, and just making sure there are no audio plugins on there, and selecting the output, for instance the Digitakt, you can only address one track at a time per MIDI track. And I've read up on this a little bit online. I understand that other DAWs offer you the possibility to assign multiple MIDI tracks from MIDI channels from one MIDI track. Here, if I want to play all 8 samples in the Digitakt, I have to create 8 MIDI tracks and individually send them to 1, 2, 3, 4 through 8. And of course the other 8 are there because there's also MIDI out functionality on separate MIDI tracks that can sequence. But so that's a little bit of a shame. It's not Electron's fault, but it's Live fault, because it would be great if you could have one MIDI track play all 8 samples or all 4 tracks in the analog 4. So you can get one MIDI clip and program a complete drum beat or an arrangement or something into that one MIDI track on one MIDI clip. So that's not possible. But anyway, I've made this template. I'll just quickly show you. Basically just taking all the outputs from the Digitakt into a folder track, group track with all these 8 tracks, and I've done the same for the Digitone, a MIDI track with the plugin and an audio group 4 tracks, all 4 outputs there, and the same for the analog 4. And yeah, there is really no problem handling all this audio, and it just gets recorded perfectly without delays, without any latency I'm so that's really nice. And yeah, that's all for this part here. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to make something new with these 3 plugins. So let's move over to my synth table, which I have rearranged, and let's get started. So another great thing about this new Overbridge setup is being able to record all the individual tracks when doing the so-called splurge, when making new ideas quickly. So the way I did this before was record a stereo track through this little mixer here, and then later, if I decided that I wanted to work on this track idea some more, I would have to record all the individual parts of the synth that I'm using here before I could even start developing the idea and do some more work to it. So that would be a bit of a pain. And from now on, I can basically record everything directly. So if I decide to work on it later, I just open up the project, all the audio is there. I can of course decide to make new parts or record things again. For instance, when there's a synth part that I want to play the filter off by hand or that sort of thing. But yeah, the individual audio tracks will be there. So anyway, I've been putting a lot of kick drum, or a few kick drum samples into the Digitakt, because you get tired using the same old kick all the time. So let's just start with one here. This is interesting sounding. Maybe as something else than a kick. Very deep sounding kick here. Quite long, so I'm going to shorten it a bit with the envelope here. Second track. And let's choose another kick drum, but use it as a bass maybe. I think I'm going to use this on one of the other tracks. Let's see. Yeah, now I'll filter out some of the low end here. Let's go back to this one. So, simple 4 to the 4. See how my playing is. Well, could be worse. Okay, next track. Let's go crazy with the kick drums here. Find another one. This one. There's some really decent samples in the factory content. I've been a little bit lazy in exploring everything since I got the Digitakt. See if we can do this. Yeah. Okay, so these steps here. On this one, these. 3, 4, 5. Let's. So 2 and 7, I guess. Put something there. Let's go crazy with kick drums here, why not? Maybe the one that's the most standard one, digit. It's also a very decent sounding kick. Let's make sure they're all nice and short. Okay, so this. Go. Because the kick drum, the actual kick drum needs a little bit more. Oh, there we go. Does it need more cowbell? No, not this time. Let's see, more new samples. What else? Oh yeah, I thought about using, let's see. This one. Maybe pitch it up. Finger drumming. That's what I meant to do. Give this a little bit of the high pass treatment as well. Put some delay. Yes. Ping pong. Hearing this delay. That's because, well, why is it? I'll tell you why. I'm not hearing the master effects. That's because the way I've set up this session where I'm actually monitoring the individual tracks instead of the stereo tracks coming into live. So I can change that, but I'm working on this now. So let's do that at a later point. I'm just going to continue here. So we have this. What else? Well, a hi-hat. I'll change this to nice and simple, effective hi-hat sound. Maybe make it a little bit into a shaker-like thing. Take some of the attack off. Okay, that's so the first one was a closed hi-hat sound. This is more of an open hi-hat sound. Let's see what I have here. I like this one. Again, I'm going to make the attack softer. I keep wanting to go to the second filter page, but there isn't one. The Digitone has the nice second filter page where there's the bass width filter. Unfortunately, the Digitakt doesn't have that. Oh well. You can still use the high pass here, of course. Maybe do this. Parameter locking here. There we go. Let's do that with decay time. Nice way to accent those second, eighth notes. Yeah. Okay. What more? What else? Well, let's do some randomizing fun here. Source, yes. Randomizes everything on the source page, including the sample. A little bit of noise, just a little bit of background noise. That's probably a good idea. Let's put in some eighth notes. Okay, maybe filter that down a little bit. Bit reduction. There's already a lot of bit reduction going on here. Some parameter locking. Okay, maybe some analog sounds here. Let's see. I'll do some random, wow, random oscillator settings here, resulting in a very dissonant sounding thingy. Maybe we can do something here with some filter envelope. That's way too much resonance. see, turn tracking on for both, tracking. A little bit more stuff to figure out here, but again, I guess because it's not going, we're not listening to the master output, we're listening to the individual tracks. So to adjust the level here doesn't do anything, but volume of course does. Yes. Another thing here is to start all the machines. I have to start them from the DAW because I had it set up before where the Digitakt was basically the master clock for the other ones, but now they're all being controlled from live. One more, maybe a little noisy sound. Second page. Really cool, this noise page with color controls, so sample and hold to change the character, and color, basically a filter, I guess. Digital noise with its own fade control. That's the other thing. Stopping doesn't work on the machine either if you control it from live. So it's a little bit of a new way of working for me. Do something with parameter locking here. Yeah, I'll make this a longer pattern. Advanced 64 steps for this track. I have to turn length to infinite. Okay. I'm gonna record the decay here. Let's see. 3, 4, okay, here. something like that. I'm going to stop it here. I'm going to record this stuff into live, save it for later, and call this little session a day. I hope you enjoyed this video, or that it was at least useful, or a little bit of both. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more. Send me a comment about what you think, suggestions, stuff I could be doing differently, or stuff that you like to see me do on this channel with electro machines, the other stuff, live, techno music, all that good stuff. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.